Share sponsor, learn Yishmas Abak Shalom Navas Yitzchok. We're holding Bava Kamo Daf Kuf Gimel. The Gemara, we're starting a few lines down in Amud Aleph, the third line. Omar Halokat Sodeh B'Shem Chaver. Someone who buys a field in the name of his friend, who we just mentioned the previous daf. And we don't say that the seller needs to resell it. So if Reuben bought a field on behalf of Shimon, so I don't say the seller has to sell again. So the Gemara Pshita, what's the Chiddush? Maybe we could tell him, meaning the buyer could say, you know that I bought it for myself. I didn't buy it for somebody else. Hi, why did I say someone else's name? Panchia be'almo kavina. What's panchia? Rashi says panchia means chizik, strength. Other Rishonim want to say panchia lashon hiding. I was hiding behind somebody else, meaning I was using someone else's name to do the sale, but it wasn't really me. Not throwing money for no reason. If I'm putting money in it, so that means it was for me. The only reason I did is to get a start. That's why, so he answers him, the seller, you have business with that guy. You go deal with him, he's going to write another star. I'm not responsible for that. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing. But if he conditioned when he bought it, he said, I'm buying it on the condition that you can write a star for me. Then the seller does have to sell again. So well, it's the Chiddush, that was the condition. So he said in front of the Eidim, in front of the seller, he didn't say to the seller, I want you to write another star that will have my name on it. What he said, he told the Eidim, Rabbi, I'm waiting for another star. He said, you know what I thought you meant? I thought you meant that you want a star from, not from me, from the guy that you're buying it from, the guy that you're using the name from, the name of the person that you're using, not for me. You never told me that you want it for me. The Chiddush is, what is he telling him? The reason I told it to the Eidim in front of you, because this is an indication that I want to start from you, and it's considered to be a condition that he did with this seller. Says the Gemara story. Rav Kahana, he gave people money to buy for him kata, to buy for him flax. The soif yaka kidno. Then the kidno became more expensive. Zavnei marvosa de kidno. So the ones who bought the kidno, they sold it. Meaning they did it on behalf of Rav Kahana, and it became more expensive. So this kidno, the Gemara understands now, belongs to Rav Kahana. They did it on his behalf. And now the kidno is worth more. Instead of giving it to Rav Kahana, they sold it. They want to give him the money. Also, the Rav, he came in front of Rav. Only ma avid, what should I do? Can I take this money or not? Can I take our money? Now what's the issue here? The issue is a ribbis. These guys took wool from me for $4. Now it's worth $8. So that extra 4 is ribbis. When they bought it, I mean, when they sold it, when you know they were doing the transaction with it, they said this kidno belongs to Rav Kahana. So it's yours. Then they sold yours. If they didn't say it, because now they just owe you money, and you're taking more money than you gave them. It says, this goes like that we mentioned the previous stuff. Because if not, what makes this kidno belong to Rav Kahana? Rav Kahana was the person who gave money to these people. They went and bought it from somebody else. Somebody else gave it to them. There was no kinyan given to Rav Kahana. The Bava say you can't just assume that it goes to the person who sent you if I don't know, unless he did a shlichus. Says the Gemara. So that's why here, if they misuse it, you have to add this over here. If they misused it, you're saying not necessarily it's yours, Rav Kahana. So if they said clearly it's yours, then it's clear that the seller sold it to you. If they didn't say clearly it's yours and they sold it, so it's not really yours. Says the Gemara, Atu miyav kana arbo v'shakatanu. Says, I don't understand. It's not a rebus. He didn't give 4 and give back 8. Kidno imelu de aikir. Megel gazlo. Says that the kidno belongs to Afkana. Oh, and they sold it. You have kidno that belongs to Afkana. They went and sold the kidno without his permission. So they stole from him. When did they steal? When they sold it. Whatever it's worth when they sold it, that's what they have to pay. Like any other Gaza. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, Amri Hosom, as Rashi says, just to clarify, when the Gemara in the previous question says, we say who said they bought it, and one thing just to clarify in Rashi is adding over here that the Svar Rema Rav that we mentioned previous daf has to do with the money, not with the kidney itself. Look at Rashi. The Gemara right now is under this stage of the Gemara. The Gemara understands that people took the kidney of Kana that he gave them and they sold it without his permission. So the Gemara says, one second, the money that the buyers gave, they gave it for Afghana. So the Gemara, forget about that. They stole it from Afghana. Says the Gemara, no. Why not? Says the Gemara, also amono havoy. The loy masha of Kana the kidno. Without talking, Afghana gave them kidno. Afghana gave them money. As we mentioned, we start with that. Afghana gave money, and the money they had to be used to buy kidno. And he never received the kidno in his hands. So this kidno was never his. For how the time you don't have, we see a money repairs, we see a money begum. Saying more Rab over here says like this. This is a din bo mitzir regarding ribbis. If a person gives money to somebody and he tells him, go buy stuff for the money. And then the value of what he bought increased. So he gave him $4, he bought fruits, and now the fruits are worth 8. He can give him back the fruits. Because this doesn't look like ribbis. He gave him money, he bought fruits. Now the fruits are more expensive, it's fine. But if he says, okay, well, I'll give you $4, that's the worth of fruits. Now the fruits are worth double. He can't give him $8 back. He can give only fruits back, but not dollars. Why not? Because the dollars, that's ribbis. So over here the same thing. If Kana says, if the kidney belongs to me, okay, so you took the kidney. But the kidney doesn't belong to Rav Kana, it's only money. And they want to give him back now the kidney and the money, it's a problem of ribbis. So if it doesn't belong to him, you have a problem. He's giving money, taking back more money, and that's the issue of ribbis over here. Toysa says that we pass like the other shita, and we see over here that this works even with money mamish. He goes on to expand upon it, which will be nogia more to Bava Metzia. Says the Mishnah, Agoizel es chaveiru shove pruto, v'nishbole. Someone stole from his friend pruto, and he did a shvur. Yilchenu acharov afilu l'madai. Should go even to Madai. It's brought down in the Vilna Gaon why Madai brings a pasuk that Madai money wasn't worth a lot. So even though the guy's in Madai doesn't really care about money, you still have to give it back to him. Lo yiten loy levnoi v'lo shluchi. Can't give it to his son or to his shlich. It's okay, I did my job. But because he's responsible to bring it to the one who he stole from. Avanois and the shlich bezdin. But he could give it to shlich bezdin. Big bachok is Rashi Toysa over here. I don't understand it. Rashi, the way Toysa explains it, Rashi learns that he's going to give it to shlich bezdin, who's going to hold on to the money until the nigzal will come back. Toysa learns the shlich bezdin will go to. He has to be the shlich to go and deliver the money to the nigzal. V'himeis yachzil liyoshev. If the nigzal died, you give it to the yosh. So he's discussing what's the chiddush. Okay. She gave him Karen, which also have to pay. Choymish, you have to pay whenever a person is nishbal a sheker, he has to pay back whatever he stole plus another 25%. So he didn't give him the 25%. Or the nigzal said, you know what? You don't have to pay me the $100. I just want the $25. He gave him everything. He was worth everything. Or he says, I still want you to pay me something of the Karen, which is less than the pruto. He doesn't have to go after him. These payments you have to go after. It's not the main thing. It's a choimish, not the keren, but he gave him the choimish, the knas, the 25%, but not the principal. Or the nixal gave up on the choimish, but not the keren. The keren, or he was worth everything except one pruto. You have to go after. If he gave him the keren, he says, okay, you owe me 25%. And he says, no, I don't owe you anything. He says, you do. And he was nishbal a sheker. So he was nishbal on that choimish is chayav. With the kubesa with base. Harezim mishayim choimish al choimish. You have to continue paying for every time he's nishbal a sheker. You have to pay another 25%. So if he stole 100, he has to pay 125. Then he lies about the 25. He has to pay 25% of the 25, which is about 6 plus. So here you have to continue paying until what? Until what he's lying about is less than the brutal. The same thing works, that's only in Gzeil, it's also in Pikadon. Sheyamari Pikadon, or Bitsubis Yad, or Bigozel, or Shakas Amitoy, or Matzah Veda Kichishba, Finish Bala Sheker, Raise Michel Keren Chosh Vasham. It all applies to all these cases. They have to pay care of the Chomish. So talking about Pikadon, something which is in his hand, or a Shomer, or if he stole it, or is any money that he owes, or we'll talk about an Aveda. Says the Gemara, Nishba loy, loy. It says in the Mishnah that if he swore falsely to the Nixal, he has to go to the Mate to pay it back. If he didn't swear, he doesn't have to pay it back. He doesn't have to go after it. Mani lo tav bekivo. That's how tav lam bekivo. Tanya goes lechem bechamisha ve'inin del meizimim. He stole from 5. He doesn't know from which one. Right? So he stole money from one of 5 people. He's not sure which one it was, and they're not sure which one it is. He's not sure. Which one says, they're saying, you stole from me. So he says over here, that even though it's a bari, Rabbi Shema, we still have a mechlekes. He has to put the gzeila there, meaning, says Rabbi Tarfon, he doesn't have to go and pay each one. He knows he stole only from one. They claim which one is that. So what should he do? He puts it between them and says, this is one of you, I owe one of you money. So it's one of you, I don't know which one. He just puts it between them. Kiva says that's not enough. Until you pay each one. It's one money. The more now understands that the factor of Kiva Tav and the Namit Shvur, there's no difference if there was Shvur or there wasn't Shvur. Says more here, Tav got the Ishtabo, and Tav holds. When you owe 5, you don't have to pay each one. You just put it in between. So I don't have to go to Madai to give it back to him. I'll just tell him whatever you want, you take it. I mean, the more understands what Rabbi Kiva is, Rabbi Kiva holds, he needs to get back to the one who was stolen from. And Rabbi Tabit says, no, doesn't have to get back. I give my attempt to give it back. You can go and pick it up. So we'll learn Rabbi Kiva. It's really Rabbi Kiva. When Kiva says you pay for each one, it's only with a shvur. Rashi point out, I want to say Rabbi Kiva because the stam mishtar is Rabbi Kiva. So I want to try to say our Mishnah is Rabbi Kiva. So he says that if you pay, when the Rabbi Kiva say you have to pay each one, it's only you have a shvur. If you don't have a shvur, he agrees to retafon. It doesn't have to get to the hands of the nixel. What is it? They call him my timer, right? They call him my timer. They call him who they call him. That's what he said. My time. What's the reason? No one call la shir li tenu b'yom hashmosay. In Shvur it says you have to give it to the guy that owes it. Even though there's a Shvur, there's still a Takana. Meaning, according to Rabbi Tafrin, even though there was a Shvur, there's a Takana that this guy doesn't have to go and give it to each one. The Tanya below is which Takana referring to it. It says that Rabbi Tzaddik brings Takana Gedoylo Yitkinu, they did a special Takana. There's a discussion, Rabbi puts out why it's called Takana Gedoylo. If the expense is more than the Karen, so the thing is, he pays the money to Bezin, and he brings a carbon, he doesn't have to pay more than what he owes. So in every time, in the case of Tafra, when you owe for 5 people, it's always going to be double, as Tosis points out over in the beginning of Tosis. So that's why you don't have to do that. So he says, Kiva says that's only when you know who you stole from. The Kamehadli moment in the Maria. He knows that I owe money to this person. So if the person's not here, I'll put the money aside, you can go pick it up. If I don't know who I owe to, I mean, we'll never get to the person who owes it. The money will never get to him. So the lawyer for Bontacanto will not say you don't have to pay. So says the Gemara, that was answer number one. Our Mishnah goes to Rabbi Kiva, and when you do shua, you have. Says the Gemara, Mesiv. Now, just one point over here. Here, when we talk about Matai, right, that you have to say that in this stage of the Gemara understands, that's what it comes as a thesis, that going to Matai means it won't cost you more than the carrot. Because right now, Rabbi Kiva agrees that when you know you owe, you don't have to pay more than what it is. That's a push shot. Or you could say that Rabbi Kiva says the shitasoy the Rabbi Tafra. Even if you want to agree with the kana, it's only if you know who you're paying to. Rabbi Kiva didn't argue. When he bought, not stealing, he bought from 5. He doesn't remember who he bought it from. He can put it between them and go away. He stole from 5 people, then goes on. That's who he stole from. It says you put the money in between. Kiva says you have to pay each one. It's a different, it's specific at din megzil. The problem because he was nishbal sheker, mali lokach, mali goes always. Why should be a difference? First of all, we saw in the Mishnah that Shavuot is the same. Second, he did something wrong. He was nishbal sheker, and if you're punishing him for that, what's the difference if he bought it or he stole it? Another question. There's one chosid. He took it 2 different people. I wasn't sure who he took it from. If you have a top, he gave for a top for an. He said, just put the money between them and you can go away. But if you have a kibo, he went to Rabbi Kiva. Kiva said, no, you have to pay each one individually. That's the case regarding Lekicha. He said that the Mishtabo, he talked about it was a shvuah. It's a chassid. You say he falsely swore, he did oath. He said no, he wasn't a chassid when he did the shvuah. He became a chassid later. He did tshuva. So let me speak about chassid echad. Or Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi. It's one of these two. That's what the stam when the Bryce or the Mishnah says chassid echad. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Chasidim Mikarav. They were always chassid. They never did shvuah. So it can't be that's the case. And you said it has to do with shvuah. You said Rekiva only requires to pay each one with shvuah. That doesn't work in these cases. Says the Gemara, Elo, Lo, Rabbi Tafra. It's really Rabbi Tafra. The opposite. Now the Gemara says you can't say Rekiva. We're talking about Rabbi Tafra. Rabbi Tafra is one that says you don't have to pay each one. Rabbi Kiva says you do have to. That's in the case there's no shvuah. If there's shvuah, even Rabbi Tafra will agree they have to pay each one. My time what's the reason? As we said before, the same pasuk. But shvuah is a specific thing to give it to the guy that you owe the money to. Rabbi Kiva holds that you even if he didn't do a shvuah because he did something wrong, he stole, he has to give each one. Mashiach, if he bought it, Rabbi Kiva agrees. If he did a shvuah, he was moide, meaning he admitted. Even without a shvuah, it should be chayav. Why? The time it says in the Bible, so moide every time for every agree, you have to pay each one. But he tells 2 people, I owe you, I stole from one of you. I don't know which one. You have to give each one. In the case that he came and admitted, now that they came and demanded it. Why? It says the Gemara that Kudal Damud Aleph. He admitted. If you admit, you have to pay. Rashi says, so what? Rashi says, talk about, he came to admit, on his own. Nobody came to ask for his money. He came and said, I owe you money, I wanna pay. What should I do? So Rashi continues, how did it be even though basically can't force him? Now you say the Einish, So here we're talking about a case, a person was admitting on his own. Basically, Tablet says, if you're admitting, it means you want to do it. So you want to pay back. You have to pay each one. So if you're talking about a guy who did a shvua, or you say he did a shvua, then he had to come and admit that he lied. So you admit it, forget about the shvua part. Because the admission, he's going to have to pay for each one. So it says the Toys asked over here, we spoke about before, so, and if he did Shemayim Mechayim, of course the Chassid should pay. So the Chassid wanted to know if he has to pay B'dei Shemayim only, or he has to pay also B'dei Odom, B'dei Beis Din. So you can ask the question. Another answer of Toys says, they were talking about it on the Kichot. When you buy, you don't have to pay each one. Only when you did Gzeli, did something wrong. When he bought it, he didn't do anything wrong, so then he doesn't have to pay both of them, even in the case of the Shemayim. So says the Gemara. So we're going to use now the gears of Rashi. Rashi learns, Elo Amaro. Says, well, forget about what we said before. Now our time for Yeshiva. We're not talking about these cases at all. We look at the beginning of Lashon Rashi. Elo Amaro Mastis Divrei HaKoili. Everybody agrees there. So they dabble in your day, Ados. It's not the same thing. Bein Nishba Lo Nishba with the plea of Tar Yeshiva. Let me start in the beginning. Tar Yeshiva argued, doesn't matter if he did a shul, he didn't do a shul. Tar always says you have to pay each one, and Yeshiva said you have to pay each one. Right? Now, what about in our case? Our case is not talking about the same thing. What's the case? Shani Mastis the Kivan the Yodo Leman Gazle Goy Delay. He knows who he stole from. It's the guy he stole is in Mada. But he knows who he stole from. And he admitted it. Even the Efshala do a moment of more because he can give the money back to the owner. So in this case, nothing is me'akim except the fact, except the trip. Reuven says, I owe money to Shimon. Shimon is not here. So it's as if Shimon told Reuven, I know you owe me the money, but you can keep it until I come back. You admit it. There's no argument that you owe me the money. So you don't have to come and schlep to bring me the money. It's fine. You can keep it until I come back. Hilkach. If there was a shvur, even though he said the words, keep it by you, you need kapara. There's no kapara until he reaches his end. How lo yishtal, but if it wasn't a shvur, how we got it pikadon? It's like he's holding on to a pikadon and the osi b'shokile until he comes and picks it up. Meaning what? When a person admits, when Reuven admits to Shimon, it's as if Shimon tells Reuven, keep it until I come back. If he did a shvur, part of the kapara of shvur is you have to pay Karen, Chomesh, Ashar. Paying is what gives the kapara. You didn't pay, even though you admit it, even though it's owed, you don't have a kapara. So that's what the Gemara says over here. If someone stole and he didn't do a shvur, so he will hold on to the money until the guy comes back. But if he stole and he did a shvur, he needs to go to Madai. Why? Even though the guy agrees that he can keep it. If he wants to have a kapara, he needs to make sure to travel to Madai and give it in the hand of the Nigzal. That's the only way the kapara works. So it's a special din. It's a special din in the kapara. That the kapara needs to be done in this specific way. Kapara cannot be done unless it reaches the hand of the buyer. So really, according to this, what the Gemara's ending is we really talk about the Bala Tiz the Shemayim. I mean, whenever I say the person was moideh, that's really how the Gemara went into this out. Whenever I say a person is moideh, he wants to do the right thing. What is the right thing over here? If he did do a shvur, the right thing is to keep it until the guy comes back. If he did do a shvur, the right thing is to get it to his hands. Because until you don't get to the hand, you don't have a kapara. You want to be right to the Shemayim, you want to make sure you have the kapara, and you make sure to go and travel even to Madai to get it. We'll stop over here, Beis Hashem, continue with these two dots in the next daf.